Couple bans left. One for each team. No junglers removed from the pool just yet.
And that's exactly what I was about to say. Very rare at this point. The Rek'Sai is still available. The Gragas is still up. We've seen the priority on that. Nidalee as well. I started to see Move branch out a little bit. But yesterday, Fnatic tried to target Move in Game 1, and it did not really work for the game holistically. Sure, it put Move behind a little bit when you look at the very early game, but it didn't phase the Unicorns overall.
No, it really didn't. The UOL laners showing up here in the regional qualifier in Europe, and the last ban from Splyce, it will be the Kassadin.
Okay.
So once again, Kassadin being removed, not allowing Exileh to get his hands on the pick, and in the instance, Sivir first pick.
Sivir picked up, that means Rek'Sai possibly coming out from Trashy. He used it a lot in the regular split before playoffs. We have seen Trashy, however, tend more towards the Gragas in playoffs, so that could also be another pickup for themselves. But looking at what left is available that is usually banned, as we said, a couple of other junglers still up as well. The Elise is in the mix, and the Rise that we've seen time and time again out of Exileh. So it's on Splyce now to figure out what exactly are their high priority picks, whether it's a flex pick, potentially a Trundle coming out here as well. We have seen that a couple of times into the Sivir. It's good too.
A lot of pressure, and will be the Rek'Sai locked in, as you mentioned. Lucian, safe ADC here for Kobbe. Real pinches on that AC pool, obviously with Sivir. It's just safe, right? You don't reveal anything more. Nobody's too surprised by this. Where does Move go with his jungle choice, and does it even come in this rotation?
Could very well be the Gragas. You can pick it up at this rotation. The only other option Unicorns would have would be to lock either their bot lane or both of their solo laners, and that instantly gives so much over to Splyce. So it'll be jungle and likely a flex mid like a Karma coming out here. Either that or a flex top with a Trundle would be the other option here, but of course then Splyce can build their bottom lane around what is potentially a Sivir Trundle matchup and look to last pick their support out of this. So a lot of options still available. Unicorns, we've seen Exileh play the Karma a couple of times, has been pretty effective, but obviously that Rise is available as well. I'm not too keen on locking both bottom lane and mid lane right here. That would be a little bit risky.
And tell me why, because it is now locked in. What options does Splyce have?
Well, at this point, Splyce now can play pretty much whatever they want for the 2v2. The difficulty is, of course, Braum does kind of compensate a little bit for Sivir here. You've got good wave clear. Very difficult now to kill this matchup, but if we look into a double melee, double ranged lane against the likes of a Braum Sivir, they could look to push them back out. And we know Mikyx, he's played the likes of a Bard. We've seen these other big supports coming out from him. That's one direction they can take it. Of course, we looking at mid lane as well. We want to get some roam potential in there to try and beat out that Rise too.
Yeah, and of course, Mikyx's Bard, famous, infamous here in Europe in summer. Trundle has been sort of the more traditional pick into Sivir, and it will be locked in, so not going to see Mikyx's Bard just yet. Technically, this Talia is somewhat of a flex. Both Wunder and Sencux have run it in summer, though I am expecting it in Sencux's hands once we see what UOL decide to lock in their last rotation.
And this is the thing about this Trundle. If it does end up going into the bottom lane, Splyce have constructed themselves a bottom lane that will do very well into the Sivir, specifically post-level 6. Once you have the culling, you've got the pillar as well to kind of disrupt. So Unicorns kind of have already conceded some of that. Of course, Braum can block a lot of that damage as well, give them some disengage. So it's not like a crippling blow to have this bottom lane setup if it is exactly the direction they take. But I think Unicorns seemingly wanting to hide their jungle matchup for some reason. Where if they end up going the Gragas, that I guess doesn't really affect too much. But now if you pick the Elise and go for some stronger early lanes, it is a possibility that we'll see some early stuff come out.
Well, a few seconds left on the clock.
Whoa,
Unicorns, if there is a team, it's locked! We've got the Croc.
Okay.
We've got the Croc.
So we were going for early game. Renekton screams early game. Now, I've been expecting Renekton to come out into picks that are looking to scale and need a lot more time. But this is a potentially blind-picked Renekton here. If the Trundle goes down into the bottom lane, it means we end up in a matchup where Renekton is basically just going to face something that can sit back in the lane, not really try and duel him in the early game, and then just completely outscale. However, dominant early game here from the top lane. Pair that with the Elise, potentially looking to snowball Vizicsacsi super hard against Wunder.
And that's something that UOL have used to win multiple games in the regional qualifier. What other options does Wunder have in his toolkit to play with? It's tough going up against Renekton, but obviously ranged or a ranged top laner in Kennen going to help out your team fights, going to give you some TP power. Irelia into Renekton, that's something that was years and years and years ago pretty standard. And Irelia is in Wunder's kit, but he's going to decide to lock in the cannon this time around.
Okay, so with the cannon, he's saying, I'll see your lane presence as a melee champion, and I will raise your lane presence as a ranged champion now. And Wunder is basically going to try and bully out Trashy. The difference between these two, bullies in lane, Kennen will have infinitely more presence in the later game fights. Just any team fight, Kennen is going to be able to get into, get himself set up with a good flank, and get multiple people locked down. Renekton's drawback has always been his lack of ability to actually play out fights. If you're not so far ahead, you're snowballing, killing everybody. So Unicorns have to watch that, but they'll be favoring this top side by the looks of it with this Elise Renekton combo.
Oh, such a lot of pressure in the Unicorns' hands because they need to get ahead early, need to make this Ryze pick and this Renekton pick work out. In actual fact, the last king of Renekton in Europe was Freddy. That was the last time we saw it played last year, I believe. So it is a long, long time away. The only catch for me, I think Sencux, if he can get off a good roam with that Weaver's Wall early, that can be turning.
Very possible, and that's what Splyce have. Rek'Sai, Talia, they got the teleports in there as well. They're looking to close the distance around the map and turn it in their favor.
Well, we'll find out if they can. Europe's roads to world has come to this. The final qualifying spot. It is on the horizon, but only one team can emerge victorious.
I think we did a lot on our way to Worlds, that we cannot just lose to Splyce and not go to Worlds. I think we have to.
I feel like we should be able to beat our own team, and that's why we are also the final boss coming into the gauntlet.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the final qualifying round of the European LCS, it is the Unicorns of Love running the rambunctious Renekton in the top lane. Not since spring, not since Freddy, have we seen the crocodile. And now we need to see whether or not Wunder can contain this pick.
Oh, we get to see a bit of a roll of the dice in game one. Renekton is sure to dominate most matchups, but not really a Kenner, unfortunately. Unless Wunder makes a mistake. If you tread too close to the Renekton, he will lock you down and try and take you out. But Wunder should be okay on the cannon and should be okay to hold himself through. But obviously, it's going to be Move, it's going to be Trashy getting themselves into the mix and getting themselves into the lanes as a big effect. So for Splyce, it's a matchup that certainly is going to basically dictate this whole early game.
Yeah, and we have to follow both Move's pathing and keep our eyes on him as a jungler throughout the series, really, because I think he's been one of the most criticized players throughout the postseason. And in my opinion, has progressively gotten better as each series has gone on, finding a way to impact the game. I mean, you mentioned in Picks and Bans how there was some focus on Move in earlier qualifying rounds. Didn't really impact him all that much. And the reason I really want to track this is just this, how important and pivotal this Renekton matchup will be. If Trashy can get ahead, if Trashy can get that tower or get some pressure in the lane, the entire game plan from Splyce has to revolve around containing this Renekton.
Yeah, and honestly, that is the way you beat Renekton, is you never let him get a kill. You don't really let him farm for as much as you can. It's tough to push him out in the early game, but Kennen may very well have that edge. And then suddenly you get past the 20 to 25 minute mark and Renekton goes, okay, I can stun one person in a team fight and last a little bit longer. And that's kind of it. We have seen a couple of successful Renektons recently, one or two in the LPL. Ooh, Mikyx is going to go straight aggressive here.
Well, gets away with a little bit of damage. Taking a look at the race for level 2, I think Kobbe, a couple CS ahead here. Veritas and Hylissang, they're also going to back away. So that aggressive play, getting some control in lane.
Yep, just the extra minion in the wave that they got for Splyce allows them to get level 2, push back the Unicorns. And we spoke about how kind of picking up the duo lane early puts a lot of pressure now on this bottom lane from the Unicorns. Sencux, however.
Oh, a lot of damage.
That's
Flash
the
away.
flash.
Flash forward from Exileh.
He's on the tower. Wait,
kill.
Exileh.
Tower shot comes down. First blood picked up by Sencux.
Exileh gets the flash early, tries to go aggressive and goes under the tower for 2 tower shots this early on. That is a critical mistake. They need this Ryze to be able to skirmish, and suddenly he's on the back foot, going to be down CS, doesn't have any summoners. He's going to end up getting camped by Trashy now.
Oh, such a good play from Trashy, be in the right place at the right time. Red buff, was that actually picked up? No.
Nearly stolen.
Move managed to secure it. Trashy comes in just a little too late, but oh man, just chaos all over. Initial trading and first blood to Splyce.
First blood to Splyce transitions into Double Doran's ring. Don't see that too often on a lot of mid laners, but you can see the early lead. You don't have enough gold to pick up too much else. This is going to make the laning very difficult for Exileh now. Double Doran's on Sencux is going to put damage out, have a lot of presence in that lane.
Yeah, look how aggressive Mikyx playing on the front foot of this Trundle over and over. Kobbe's able to sidestep the Boomerang Blade, and as you mentioned, no summoner spells for either mid laner. So move on this Elise with a lot of tools to tower dive if the opportunity presents itself. Here's a replay of the outplay.
Exileh gets such good damage down early here because Sencux gets locked down and doesn't have access to everything. He doesn't have the pushback.
Seismic shove.
Until there, level 3 for that seismic shove. Exileh goes under tower, takes 2 tower shots. I mean, a lot of players will talk about first game of the day, warming up to it. That's a big mistake out of Exileh. No excuses on that one. Goes straight under tower. Tower range is always the same, no matter what game you're in.
Yeah, of course. It looked like Sencux was just trying to shove the wave out, it felt like. Got caught down by that rune prison. But he had the support of Trashy, and that allows him to get first blood. We caught a quick glimpse there of Vizicsacsi. Already, he was pressured out of lane and teleported back up top. Minion wave gonna get shoved in here as Splyce is used. Dice available, and time's out a moment ago. And Vizicsacsi and Wunder about to get access to level 6, level 5 for Chachi, almost level 6. Great combo.
Exileh. Oh man, this is going to be a horribly painful lane because look, Sencux with that blue buff now as well was given over by Trashy. Looked like they invaded into the enemy jungle, but hang on, here comes Move.
No flash, the cocoon connects. This is an easy kill. Rune Prison comes out, and you were mentioning blue buff on Sencux?
Yeah, now it's on Exileh. It works out pretty nicely that way. Exileh picks that one up for himself, and after what should have perhaps been Trashy coming around for another gank, it's actually Move that instantly makes his presence felt in the middle lane, turns that around. Sencux was in such a good spot in his own mind, just going aggressive, didn't have his cleanse, wasn't available from the last trade. That means that's a dead Talia.
Yeah, very well played by Move. No summoner spells, easy kill. As the game was loading up, I was actually messaging production to say that the featured matchup of this has to be this Kanan versus Renekton.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have been more wrong. I couldn't have been more wrong because of all the action in the mid lane.
Let me explain why it would seem that this would be a super hype matchup, but in fact it isn't in the end of all things. So Renekton typically wants to bully his lane in a melee range matchup and is able to just go aggressive constantly. That's why typically you'll see them start something like a Doran's Blade, because when you start getting the double swing out and getting all the damage down, you can take somebody's health away so incredibly effectively, but you can never get on the cannon. That's forced out not only a Doran shield start, but now no magic mantle as well on top of that. So this is now a game for Chachi, where somehow he's going to try and get side lane control, but he's in a matchup that is constantly having to be defensive. Unless he can get a jungler up here, Wunder now has to face off against Move as well.
Slicing Maelstrom and Flash is available. Wunder's going to need to use it. There's the Maelstrom, gets a double stun after eating a cocoon, sinking the fangs from Move. Now in the mid lane, Sencux and Trashy, they're going on Exile. Wunder gets caught out again. Move's looking for the repel. He's under the tower.
He got him.
Takes a shot. Gonna trade 1 for 1. In the mid lane, Exile's able to ghost to safety. But that's a second kill on the board for UOL.
Oh, this has been a bit of a messy game so far on this one. Some mistakes from Exileh, Wunder pushing up fairly far, but was able to just get enough out of that situation, picking up a kill for himself. And this is actually a little uncharacteristic of Trashy in this early game, is that typically Trashy is tracking his enemy jungler every minute of the game, is in the same place as them, but now Trashy has defaulted to farming a lot more. He's been in the lanes a couple of times and has been very impactful on it, but look at the farm difference already, 40 to 16 as we check out what Move was doing. You can see Wunder actually did have a ward there, so he could see this coming. Lasted just long enough as he got out the slicing Maelstrom. Unfortunate, but you know, 1 for 1, Wunder will take that every single day.
Yeah, not too bad. Got a couple summoner spells. More importantly, I think, you know, that you have to question the flash. Could Wunder have flashed earlier? Maybe got away from the cocoon, you know, because kind of you want to flash off the cocoon to dodge it. But either way, Wunder gets still marginally ahead. Chachi's going to come back to lane. Teleport will be available for Chachi sooner than it will be for Wunder. And I want to see whether or not he can do anything with that on the Renekton.
Without a good flank, I'm going to have to say no. But then again, the same for Wunder. If Wunder can't get a flank when his TP is available, it's all going to be about that bot lane, though. That is where these TPs are likely to be used. The same with Sencux and the wall, because we haven't seen it come out yet. Now level 7, so Sencux could be looking to get out of that lane. Of course, wow, actually, hang on. Exileh has ranked his ult. That is interesting. We saw a lot of Ryze delay until like past level 10. 10 would be the first time you picked it up. There were a couple of adjustments to Ryze, which increased some of his ult potential. Don't believe that was on 6.15 though. I may very well be mistaken.
For future patches,
I believe it's the patches we're playing on live.
Future patches. I think for Exileh though, we have seen him take a couple of points before 11 and 10 in that ulti. It's just such a short range. Yeah. It's not going to have anywhere near the impact of the Weaver's wall. And Trashy, every time the observers are highlighting him, he's kind of camping out that red buff, has finally decided to back away, trying to steal a buff away from Move, but the opportunity simply didn't present itself.
But the one thing that Splyce have managed to get over the last few minutes is just this vision control over the river. If you look at this, exactly where Move is coming through now, it's the same path that Exileh is going to have to track to be able to get himself down to the bottom lane, but he's not able to do that without being on wards. They ping them, and suddenly the bot lane moves back in the lane, takes a step away. And they've taken a step away and recalled here, Trevor. They're looking for this push onto the top side. No Gangplank in this game is not going to be able to deny a push like this. Oh, and Unicorns are backing away at the same time. This is kind of a rough timing here. They're looking to defend the push up at top, but it depends how much Splyce can get done first.
Chachi's going in so early. He's going to realize he's in trouble. There could be a flash pillar for Mikyx, not even going to get needed. Subjugate and culling. It's a 3-on-1, and Kobbe gets the kill.
I think, however, Unicorns can come up with their bottom lane and move just in time to defend the turret off the first push. So it's not going to result in a turret, but inevitably it's another kill going over to Splyce here in this early game. And you can see Splyce know the bot lane recalled. They backed away, but look, again, bottom side, Trashy, who's gone all the way down, shoved the wave out into the tower. So now when Chachi actually comes up, there's no experience to be gained for him in the bottom side either. So again, it's a double win for Splyce. May not be turret first blood, but they don't really mind about that right now.
Get the kill, they deny CS, they deny experience. Now they potentially are ahead of the push. However, Veritas, Hilly, with the supportive Move, are going to get onto this top outer turret. It looks like Kobbe and Mikyx, they literally just backed off, spent some of the gold, and are now returning to defend their own tower. Chachi's making his way up and now will teleport. Okay, I thought maybe there could have been a dive being set up, but Chachi's there's a TP to lane.
Hang on, whoa, Chachi just TP to lane. This is not something you see all that often when we're looking against a comp that has like Talia, Kennen, who has his teleport available. Matching that TP is going to be so important, and this is Unicorns basically saying, well, Chachi, we just need somehow to get him extra farm, somehow to get him some kind of presence. He's maybe 11 CS up right now, but that's not going to win them the game. The problem is this Renekton, to actually win this game, needs to put in so much work. And I don't know whether that TP usage there by Chachi is going to backfire, because Splyce can force an engage up in the top side with the Talia and suddenly bring 5 people up there. And that just means Unicorns have to 3v5, and that's not a fight they want. Exileh does have his ultimate available, as we said, though.
All right, 3.5 minutes for teleport. If Exileh decides to realm warp, or in this little situation, realm hop, I think is more appropriate, into the potential dive. Obviously, Wunder should be able to reply. Only catch is he's under tower, and Sencux and Trashy may have read this because they are in the river as well. So the moment Move was getting in, you know, any sort of range, instantly there was a response.
Oh, hang on, Exileh's moving for this. Is he actually looking to ult? Again, he's nowhere near his range. That was zoning ult, I guess.
Optimistic?
Yeah, that one, not really sure hitting a Lucian that has flash and dash without any crowd control hitting first is really what you're looking for on that Braum ult. But some jitters to begin the first
Little
game,
bit of jitters. Game 1
Worlds is on the line.
In the best of 5. This is the closest Splyce has ever been, and obviously the second time that the Unicorns have been in the regional qualifier finals. We'll continue that story time in a moment. Move is hanging out. Wunder, Flash and Maelstrom.
If he takes one step further forward.
He's done so. He's done so. They're going to get him. The Cocoon's going to come out, but not after the Ruthless Predator. Chain CC, and Wunder is eaten alive.
Patiently, the spider waits in the bush and gets the kill. Second kill for Move in this game. And man, that's a fairly important turnaround. They use that TP, remember, to get Trashy down into this bottom lane. So now the two-man push here is going to try and get it with this cannon wave. Trashy actually just ulted to the top side. Talia is coming across. This is going to be a tower race purely based on this. But look at how further ahead Unicorns are. They're going to have the Elise skittering frenzy as well.
Well, can Splyce get anything more? Tower First Blood has been secured by Unicorns, but Veritas and Hylissang are the targets. They're now in a 4-on-2.
And here's the TP
Exile's coming as well. TP from Wunder. Slicing Maelstrom was not used in the previous fight. It is used this time. Veritas is getting run down. Exile's dropped on the back foot. Wunder gets another kill, and it looks like they're going to take Hilly's life and the tower as well. The Winions will finish him off. Not just yet. And Sencux should be able to run him down shortly. Move will at least get a reply, but hang on. While all of this is going on, take a look at Vizicsacsi. He pushed all the way to the inner turret. Is he going to get that turret as well?
He's pushing past it now to grab the wave that's coming to it because his wave just expired. So he has to play this carefully. Splyce have just recalled from this, and they can close this distance fairly effectively as Wunder does have that lightning rush to get him close enough. If he can catch up to Vizicsacsi, this is potentially a bit of a backfire here. It's all going to be on Move's Cocoon to try and hold him in place.
Protobalt has just been used by Wunder.
Okay,
very good Cocoon. Here comes Kobbe. And a very good dash away from Trashy and from the tower. Defensive flash from Move. Didn't want to get caught by that seismic shove. Right, step back. 15 minutes on the clock. Splyce have got a kill advantage. They're even on towers and 1,500 gold up. But the cost of all that pressure in the top lane is a nearly dead inner turret, and they lost the first dragon. But Splyce, it was a mountain as well, which is obviously going to be very important later.
Yeah, going to assist out in pushing any of those turrets down. You can see Unicorns, don't feel phased. They got Sencux.
Well, Cleanse and Flash already used. The rest of Splyce, they're on the bottom turret. And Stress, it's just getting a bit messy here because on the mini-map, while the tower's going down bottom...
Trashy's going in.
Oh, is he going in? Is he really
he's gone in.
To a fight? Yes, he has indeed. Trashy's on the front line. Sencux, no Weaver's Wall available. Throwing out those volleys. Very good route. Flash knockup. Kobbe's looking to squash the spider.
Got him.
But I think the Subjugate did it while in the air. What goes up doesn't always come down. But Vizicsacsi might go down. Slices forward, dices backwards. Ruthless Predator. Small stun, but it's not enough. Dominus gives you some HP. Chachi's trying to walk away. The help of Hylissang. Glacial Fish is slowing Trashy and Wunder's escape. The slice! He manages to get in. Spins for the win. And Wunder's running for his life. Vizicsacsi plus Hilly, they win the 2v2.
This is a very messy game, Trevor. There are so many ridiculous fights on this, and a lot of it is Unicorns recognizing where they can push up to a tower and getting it, but on the other side of the map, suddenly they're pushed up in mid lane. They don't quite have the civers on the top side. Vizicsacsi's not with them. So this has been a weird passage of play overall. So this was the initial engage onto Kobbe. I say initial because there's a second one going on down in the bottom side of the jungle here. This is where Trashy would have ultimately turned this back around, get onto Trashy, take them out. And, you know, Trashy has a Titanic Hydra in this one, which makes him fairly tanky to deal with. The route that we've seen players like Marin recently, a couple of weeks back, playing Renekton, a little bit more towards Black Cleaver, Spirit Visage, that kind of build. So this is somewhat different, but we're having a bit of a bloodthirsty game here, Trev.
Oh, yes.
We got a Renekton.
12 kills, 18 minutes. Protobelt Elise, no less. Second item there for Move. Very squishy spider, but very venomous fangs. If Move can ever get his hands on anybody on the Splyce lineup, because there's no real... I was going to say there's no real tank, but I'm looking at a Rek'Sai, so ignore me. Getting a bit too excited in all the action here, Stress.
Just a little. I mean, Titanic Hydra Rek'Sai is less tanky than the typical, like, Aegis, you know, full kind of build into the tank zone, but still does take a while to kill. Trashy will, you know, regen a bit of health. Now wants to go on to Move. As the rest of the team.
Move is caught off behind the wall. Hilly's just dropped down. That Weaver's Wall from Sencux doing a lot of work. Does it open up the tower? Not a lot of minions to work with and Sivir to deal with, so I don't think so.
Look at bottom lane, though. That's the one that we need to watch. You saw the damage down from Trashy earlier. Now Trashy wants to maybe go aggressive, but they've spotted out Wunder. And Wunder does have enough damage just to push Trashy back on his own. good path of wards up through to that bottom side tower from the Unicorns. You can see that Trashy has tracked through and placed a couple of his own as well, but it's out behind Trashy is where the important wards. The ones that track Splyce on the way to that tower defensively.
And I think you have to keep talking about this jungle matchup. 58 CS on move. Yes, he's got a couple kills and assists to his name. Trashy, 106. Really, really power farming his way up. In terms of gold, only equates to about 500 difference. So not a huge amount just yet. No kills in his back pocket is part of that reasoning. Obviously, we need to see what sort of impact the Rek'Sai will have versus the Elise as the game progresses. They're going to fulfill slightly different roles, really. Elise a lot more about getting the damage down, especially with this build.
Yeah, that Proto Bell. Just got to get in there, get the damage, try and hit somebody as hard as you can. For Unicorns, though, this is a bit of a slowing down period for them. Trashy is going to try and edge towards the bottom side. You can see little skirmish over the Gromp from Wunder and Trashy. But Unicorns are going to try and they want to try and get that bot lane tower. Problem is, without really pushing mid at the same time and getting a lot of this control, it becomes very difficult because as good as their vision control has been through the jungle, they haven't actually cut off those jungle paths, and that's where you start restricting areas of the map that Splyce can or can't go towards. And Splyce, yes, they have a gold lead on this, but honestly, they're the ones kind of playing reactively. It's kind of what Freeze was talking about on the analyst test, where it was like, well, you know, Splyce don't beat you, but if you make a mistake against Splyce, they're going to punish you very hard.
Yeah. You lose against Splyce, not Splyce beat you. And I like that concept. And it's going to be a very good test for the Unicorns of Love, because they've had two incredibly dominant victories over Giants and Fnatic in the last 2 days. Momentum and confidence is definitely going to be on their side. But their opponent is a different beast, as you can see now. Trashy going to be jumping in here. Glacial Fissure comes down. Sencux delivers the wall, cuts it just a little short, and Hylissang's able to escape with his life. That Unbreakable managing to block so much damage, and Wunder cancel his TP.
Yes, Trashy TP'd in as well by the looks of it. Ended up in mid lane, and they pushed Splyce back away for now. Problem is, you can see Hilly was so low, they had to back themselves away. Unicorns look like they'll just drop down now and look for perhaps this dragon. It's not exactly the best prize right now for them, but they've already got one dragon, so maybe building later on to have as many different shades of dragon that you can have.
Different avenues of victory. I think for a team like Unicorns, they're going to need to try to get their hands on this one if they can. Remember, scaling not necessarily 100% with that Trashy top lane. Flash away, though, from Mikyx. He's not going to be able to get a chance. Does in the end! Flash forward from Vizicsacsi to follow it out. And actually, Unicorns able to brute force their way onto the dragon. And I think that's important for the Unicorns because that Elder Dragon buff and having all of those additional potential tools is what Unicorns may need as the game plays out.
Trashy's pushing bottom lane. Splyce had their recall stop. Trashy's getting this tower on this push. Yeah. There's no way he doesn't. That's gone. So Unicorns suddenly have turned this game back around, and this is what we've seen from them over the last few days, is anytime they have fallen behind, they've been able to just push. Sencux has to flash.
Oh, Sencux is in trouble. Insta-cleanse, though, but it doesn't matter. The damage follows through. Very good timing after the W stun from Trashy. But Splyce, they lose 2 towers. They lose 2 deaths and a dragon in the last minute and a half.
And you know what? I was talking about how Renekton, after the laning phase, doesn't typically have too much out of a single person stun, but Trashy has proved sometimes that's all you need in these kind of setups. So this was the fight over the dragon. 2 teams fighting over Cloud Drake, so Splyce back themselves away. Don't really think it's worth dying. Nice flash from Mickey, but Trashy matches it with one of his own. Follows up with a slice and dice. Gets the kill. Then Trashy goes and gets a tower, comes over to the mid lane, because finally they have control of those jungle paths, and they can get into mid lane, pick up a kill.
Yeah, and with the kill, with the gold, Vizicsacsi's extending that lead. So he's plus 40 CS, plus 1,300 gold, and his second item is Black Cleaver. So we're going Titanic into Cleaver versus Hourglass Proto Belt. I think Trashy never wants to be in a team fight. That's what this build is telling me.
He just wants to be in a side lane the entire time.
Hopefully with move waiting in the shadows.
Yeah.
That is, I believe, the game plan. Try to let Veritas and Exileh maybe wave clear, join in later if they can. But that's what those builds kind of scream to me.
Yeah, he's been set on Spectre Scowl for a while as well, so just getting some magic resist. Exileh's dead.
Oh, that's a little bit of trouble. Round Warp comes out. Is going to maybe get away. Where
What?
did he go? How did he get out?
Wait.
He juked the observers.
He juked all of us. He like spot ulted to
I
like the
actually
point
think-
next to it
I
and then
actually
flashed
think
away.
We have to see that again with Vision Toggle. Because I think Exileh stepped in and out of the bush, so Splyce couldn't hit it.
Yeah, he did, and then stepped back into the portal, which was taking him about like a quarter of a screen away, and then he flashed. Like that. Exileh.
That was amazing. Wunder
was
gets
fun.
caught out, goes golden with hourglasses. Blue buff is picked up by Veritas in the back end, but just an easy kill thanks to some good vision. Hold that thought stress move in the proto belt to safety.
We talked about these jungle paths. As soon as those outer towers are down, that is when Trashy can push up, and it suddenly becomes not Splyce jungle anymore. They cannot take the step in there. Wunder tries to, can't really survive when there are 3 people from the Unicorns in there, and Unicorns have fully turned this game around. So, with the vision toggle, so Exileh, where does he actually do it? Because I think he appears like right next to it. So he's
Below
dead
the
in
inner
it.
turret.
Yeah, it's just
Vision,
here.
vision.
Oh man,
That is amazing.
that was so good.
That is the definition of a hashtag LCS big play.
Oh dear. Like Harry Houdini. I was trying to think of a funny one, but with Exileh, but I haven't got it. I'm just gonna let that play.
Go with classic. Go with
Yeah,
classic.
exactly.
Harry Houdini's good. I was going to go with Dynamo, but I don't know how many people know him, so we'll move on from that one. You don't even know who he is. Exactly. I rest my case. Television magician who was famous a couple of years back. Showing my age, maybe. At this point in time, Unicorns are in charge. They clawed back some of the early game deficit. They're ahead in gold. They're ahead in towers. And now they're trying to set up some vision around Baron. I actually like how Unicorns have used vision this game. When Trashy was very heavily extended earlier, he had a ton of wards and a ton of vision to play with. And now the obvious objective is Baron. So that's where the vision game is being set up.
Yeah, Unicorns are going to back themselves away with that and try. They've got such good vision around mid, around the enemy jungle. Just Unicorns making sure they can keep track of Splyce, so Splyce is struggling to punish all the time. Finally, Splyce will get a little bit of control over the Baron Pit. You can see they got some in Unicorn's jungle as well. They've been spotted out by the Rift Spirit. Trashy and Wunder going head-to-head again, but Trashy doesn't really want this for now, by the way. All he wants is a Grom.
Well, nobody would want to. Even with Hourglass, I don't think Wunder could still win that fight. Hourglass plus Dominus HP from Trashy.
Bells down, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I doubt they'll go toe-to-toe. There's too much at stake. So spots at Worlds on the line.
Hang on, watch mid lane, though.
All right, watching. Weaver's wall. Gonna cut off Hylissang. Very good
cut off the
job.
wave clear is the
Hilly
other
puts
thing.
down the Glacial Fissure, flashes over the wall. No follow-up.
Ooh, hang
from
on, here comes
Splyce,
Trashy.
But there is a round. Teleport's been channeled. Wonders come in. Remember, this is a teleport and a flash.
Oh,
Stand
he's
behind
down.
me. Harry Houdini, but it's the whole Unicorns. 2 of them have got away. Trashy flashes forward. Chachi's cut down where he stands. There's no front line for UOL. This is messy. Move dashes away with the
Veritas.
belt. Veritas is locked in by a pillar of junk. And Splyce say get dunked. They get themselves 3 kills and turn for Baron.
3 kills. Splyce managed to turn that around from what looked a little rough from Trashy TPing into the backline, but that's where Renekton struggles. He locks one person down, and then Splyce turn all the way around for a move. He's going to look to try and steal this. Let's see if he can get in there. Still 6,000 health on the Baron, so not really an easy steal, and he's dead.
Oh, Sencux just cuts him down, and Splyce will stamp an authoritative control on game 1.
Stamp that control. They turn this one back around, so let's take another look at the initial engage. This is cutting off the wave clear from Veritas and also trapping out Hylissang, as we were talking about. TP starts coming in, but this is Hilly making his miraculous escape. He said Harry Houdini. How about Hilly Houdini in this scenario? Jumping out onto Veritas, getting himself out alive. And look, here's the turn back onto Trashy. Get the knock-up, lock him down. Even with Dominus running, he can't keep himself alive for the majority of this team fight, and suddenly Veritas gets pillared. Spell Shield does nothing to that, I'm sorry. That's why you pick Trundle into Sivir. And Splyce, after what was looking so good from the Unicorns, controlled play, finally Splyce have been able to punish the Unicorns as it turns back around, and now Splyce are in full control of the game.
Yeah, beyond a shadow of a doubt, Trashy secures that dragon with the help of Kobbe. That's their first of the game. There'll be one more Mountain Drake before Elder spawns. And Trashy takes a lot of damage, got caught out by those concussive blows. Small stun. Outer turret is still standing for Unicorns of Love. Wonder for how much longer against the Baron empowered minions. I'm so disappointed I didn't get the Hilly Houdini. Oh, such a good line. But look at the damage difference in that last fight. I mean,
some sick Renekton damage.
but he's not a team fighter.
No, I know.
Not with a Black Cleaver
Exactly.
and a Titanic. Like,
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing, is like Renekton has very specific things that he's good at. Always has been a difficult champion to balance because he was either incredibly good in the laning phase and just crushed and won before you could have a team fight against him, or you would drag it to the team fighting stage and suddenly you lose everything that Renekton is good at. And that's the position that we're starting to find ourselves here for Vizicsacsi, is he still has presence in the side, but Splyce are forcing fights.
and you have to loop back to the original discussion as keep an eye on Trashy. Yeah, Unicorns are very proactive. Unicorns are an aggressive team. Mithy said it yesterday on the desk, how the first time they played against UOL in the semifinals, they got surprised. You know, they had to adapt their playstyle. Wonder's going to go toe-to-toe with Exile. Proto Belt forward. Hourglass is available. Wonder's going to go golden. Really does not want that fight, but luckily the help of the minions will get him the survive, at least.
I think Exile was just panicking because Splyce were coming down through the jungle. Didn't want to get led on a chase to try and kill Wunder, so just decided that was enough. That was what he needed from that exchange.
Wunder not having the same level of control, maybe, on Cannon that he would have liked. Using that 1v1.
It's funny because we see the cannon come out of Trashy normally. He's the one that plays it into
Yes.
the Gnar. So it must be a little weird being like, I've got this cannon pocket pick, I've got this for certain matchups, and suddenly have to play against it. I mean, Trashy clearly is going to be fairly well versed, because he was talking yesterday about the matchups against Mikyx, where they keep playing these weird matchups top lane in solo queue. So I do wonder whether this is actually one that Trashy has played, because he said it in the interview yesterday.
I would not be surprised. In the current meta, 1v1s, I'd be highly surprised if there were no Renektons being played. But to just loop back again to the original story, the Unicorns playstyle are very aggressive, very proactive. If Splyce are able to punish a proactive call, that's what leads them to Baron. And that's what I think Splyce are good at. They're a reactive team. They're a strong, sort of strategic, smart team. And by making a play with vision, by punishing a Renekton pick, by forcing team fights, that's how Splyce have got themselves this 4,000 gold lead, have got themselves now map control, and have slowed the tempo down just a little.
And that's such a big departure from even the Splyce last split. To use the word that Splyce are a strategic, macro, like slower paced, reactive team that are smart at it. I mean, you look a year ago when they were qualifying into the LCS and their series against Maus was based over who was going to kill Dragon. This is such a far departure, that knockup!
Because this time round, it's who's going to kill the Unicorns. Trashy flash forward for the knockup. Here comes Wunder. He flashes in for the Maelstrom, but Exhaust was good. That'll block a lot of the damage. Move drops down from the Repel, and Trashy's out in the wings. Splyce remain grouped up as Sencux goes toe-to-toe with Veritas. Flashes away, gets the kill. Two Unicorns are down, and Splyce, they've got the numbers advantage in the mid lane.
You can see how much damage Veritas has this late in the game, but it didn't matter because he was 1 versus 1 against Sencux at this point, and that is going to be another set of towers going down for Splyce. They're looking to do critical damage to the Unicorns base here in game 1.
The primary wave clear from the Unicorns is down, and Chachi, he's going to get in so close if he wants to stop any damage. Kobbe sidesteps the cocoon as the rest of Splyce turn onto the inhibitor, and the base is broken open after a very confident team fight with Trashy and Sencux starting it all.
Beautiful flash knockup from Trashy. Like, this is the kind of thing that you want to see from a Rek'Sai, because typically you have trouble starting a fight if you're just Rek'Sai on your own, but managing to catch 3 people in one single knockup. Good pillar to start it off, actually forces the jump out from Hilly, so credit to Mikyx on this one as well. You can see Sencux tries to go in and drops the wall immediately. Wunder has his flash available, so that means Kennen can go aggressive. And suddenly, like, Unicorns look maybe to be turning, but Sencux on the bottom side, Veritas flashes into him to try and bypass some of the damage that was there, and Sencux just shrugs it off, instantly hits him back.
And important to note, Sencux has also hit a lot of those shoves this game. The reason I say that, the last time we saw Sencux playing Taliyah, didn't hit as many combos, you know, and it's looking a lot more practiced, a lot more comfortable on this champion, because the first team that had Taliyah bans against them was Splyce.
Yeah.
When Taliyah was available in, what was it, week 7, week 8, that week, almost every team banned Talia against Sencux.
I loved that week because we were wondering what the hell was going on because they were drawing Scion bans the same week. It was like Talia Scion.
It tells you something funky was happening in scrims.
We were thinking, is this real? Is this actually? And then we did get to see both.
And you know, Stress, you mentioned it, like strategic play, intelligent play, reactive play in the game. Splyce of Spring were not that at all. Splyce of Spring were, let's hope Sencux does something okay, and then see what happens from there. Because Wunder and Kobbe, I mean, Wunder was one of the worst top laners in the spring split.
It's like, oh, well, we'll get there. We'll get there in a sec. I was going to say it's like a light version of Smed, where, you know, they always talk in the LCK about the Long Panda Award and that kind of thing. Same kind of thing for Wunder. And his growth within our region has been so good. I want to see what he can do internationally, but we'll see that, maybe.
If they win this series and with aggressive plays like that from UOL, if they go punished, just like that, Kobbe goes godlike 7-0-4. Sencux isn't done yet. Keeps throwing out those threaded volleys as Exileh should easily get run down. Is that a failed flash? I think it was for Mikyx. Doesn't really matter though, as Kobbe gets his 8th kill of the game. The rest of Unicorns are running for their lives and gigantic smiles from Coach Yamato Cannon and substitute Tifa. As Trashy's gonna really not have the level of impact he was hoping for this game. Despite some strong side lane pushes, it didn't lead to the control that Unicorns wanted.
And that's fair. The other side of that is the Renekton hasn't been a negative factor in the game. Like, okay, so with the team composition, it's difficult to do things, but Trashy's performance himself on this champion has actually been fairly good, especially into a bad matchup. So
one exception.
Okay.
That teleport in the mid lane.
That's fair.
I think that is unforgivable when you're on a champion like this.
But I would say that's fair, but I think almost every player would have made that same play. I don't think there's too much that he could have done differently that wasn't restricted.
Vizicsacsi does not care about the wall. Oh, he slices over it, but only to find his own death. Gets turned into a pair of Splyce crocodile skin boots. Glacial Fisher comes down from Hylissang. One last-ditch effort. Protobelt forward from Wunder. Nobody's stunned just yet as Hilly finally goes down. Mikyx sticking on the front line. Throws down the Pillar of Ice, and the rest of Splyce back away. A lot of good damage from the Unicorns of Love. It's at least stalled and slowed down the Baron, but not long enough as Splyce just simply re-engage right now.
And Kobbe is having the time of his life on this first rotation Lucian in response to the Civet. Oh, Exileh.
Exileh's in so much trouble.
Nothing up his sleeve on that one.
Not this time around. Who's next to the slaughter? Splyce are calling. Turn their attention back to the Baron. Super minions from 2 lanes pouring through Unicorn's base. And Baron number 2 secured safely.
Well, this one's going to just be a slow end to it for Splyce. They'll march into the base, but this is only game 1. But look, Sencux cuts off Trashy. Trashy goes over, thinks he can kill Sencux. Sorry, Trashy. You've got some damage, but you haven't got that much at this point in the game. The Titanic Hydra Black Cleaver Sterix Gauge is not enough to take this out. Wunder, Zhonya's just in time to keep himself alive in this fight as well. And again, Splyce just fighting in these enclosed spaces allows Kobbe to get so much damage off, Sencux gets so much damage, Wunder is able to get multi-person stuns. Splyce just looking like they're, you know, picking up where they left off from the semi-finals. Not so much from the finals, perhaps, but
at least not the last 2 games of the finals.
That's game 1, about halfway through.
Game 1 and 2 were pretty good. But if you just look at like the kill participation, 11 out of 20 kills for top lane, 14 out of 20 for Trashy in the jungle, 12 out of 20, like, Splyce just scream team play. They just scream togetherness, holding hands, the power of friendship. Maybe that's a bit too far, but...
I mean, it's kind of funny, though. Kobbe's got the highest kill participation in the game.
Yeah.
He's 15 out of the 20.
I mean, get around him, stick things on the front line, and Kobbe will kill whatever's left.
He will. Got to be careful, because the Civet does still have some bite. You can see Mikyx loses half of his health, but it's all about the super minions pushing in through the top side. Now the mid inhibitor is back up as well, so Splyce have to kind of edge in carefully at this point.
Well, safety with their 12,000 gold lead. It is theoretically just a matter of time. This is a team that really has played very controlled and calculated for the last few weeks. Move just about gets away with his life as the inhibitor drops.
And Vizicsacsi now is playing Crocodile-sized distraction with a GA. Oh, Wunder's gone in.
Wunder's going to find at least Hylissang for now. Veritas gets knocked out to the side by the pillar. Here comes Mikyx on the back line. In the middle of 4, Chachi's GA is popped. Kobbe gets yet another kill as move drops down. Trashy's going to hunt him. The whole team gets wiped. Unicorns are aced. Unicorns have lost their base, and Splyce have put 1 foot forward, and they are this much closer to San Francisco.
Game 1 for Splyce. They've broken the hot streak, broken the win streak of the Unicorns. A little bit of a rough game